Hey everyone, thank you so much for tuning in. If you find value in this episode, please like, subscribe, and leave us a comment. You can also check out our past episodes on BackstageBanterThePodcast.com.
All right. We're trying again, everybody. Bantering with Liza down in Playa del Carmen, having some margaritas.
Yeah, welcome to the
Take two.
podcast. Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. Brian, how are you doing, sir?
I'm doing pretty good. Just another
Fantastic.
sunny day in Orlando. It's starting to warm up
Yeah.
here too. We were talking about the weather before we started recording, and it's still in a very nice phase, which I'm really loving. Actually reminds me a lot of San Diego. And I am loathing the summertime as it creeps
The
closer
humidity.
and closer. Yeah, it's really the humidity. It's not the heat. It's the humidity that gets you. And it's funny. Sometimes I talk to people who are from like drier climates, like Las Vegas or somewhere that's more arid, and they actually say that San Diego is really humid, and I'm like, no, San
What?
Diego, yeah, because it's close. I mean, it is relatively more humid than Las Vegas,
You're
but
5 minutes from the water.
yeah,
I don't know.
so yeah, it's just funny to hear people say that San Diego is humid, because it's
Well,
definitely not
especially.
humid like Florida is humid.
Well, yeah, and the heat in Las Vegas is so oppressively over the top stupid where
Yeah,
you can fry an egg on the sidewalk kind of stuff that
It's
seriously.
gross.
Yeah, you're
you
from
know
Las Vegas, right? Or you were there for a long time, right, Liza?
Yeah, I made like a home base there for about 7 years.
Yeah,
It's hot. It's hot, but the humidity kills. I don't know. I've lived in Dubai in the summer and now here in Mexico in the summer, and I would take Vegas summer over either of
yeah,
those anytime.
100%. Yeah, me
sure
too.
for
Dubai is a
sure.
whole other level for sure.
A whole other
I
level.
when I was starting to work in Dubai, I actually arrived in July. It was like the middle of
Mm.
July. It was the worst fucking
And what is it,
time.
like 190 degrees? Like
It's
what
100 degrees at night and it's 120 during the day. Like it just does not subside. It is humid and hot all the time, basically from
no?
like May until so I got there like in the middle of summer. I got up and I was walking around just exploring. It was like early in the morning because I had terrible jet lag and it must have been like 7 or 8 in the morning. And I went out and it felt pretty good. And I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go for a walk. And I went for a walk and like within an hour, it was in the morning time. Within an hour, I was like, oh man, I gotta get inside and get some water or something because it was no joke.
Yeah.
No joke. I remember landing and like they have those big glass windows at the airport and the
Hmm.
humidity dripping down the windows from the outside. I was like,
Yep.
"Oh man, I'm in for a whole new adventure."
Yeah. Yeah,
How do you
definitely.
survive in that? Like I don't even get it.
You stay inside. I mean,
Yeah,
everything is air conditioned, everything is inside. That's why they have these huge, massive malls everywhere, and
Huh.
everything is connected. And you leave your apartment, you get into an air conditioned taxi or a public transportation or whatever, and then you go to somewhere inside that's also air conditioned. The only time you're really outside during the summer is going from point A to point B, in my experience, unless
That's
yeah,
you're
man.
I
camping.
That's man.
completely agree. And sometimes like the public transport shuttle, like the bus will it's like a tram. The tram will take you like
Yeah.
straight to the building, so you don't even have to go outside. You just go from tram straight into the building.
Yeah, all the stations
Oh.
are indoor and all air conditioned. But man, that transportation during rush hour there is like none other I've ever seen before. It is like packing sardines
Mm.
into a can. I'm not even kidding, dude. Like people will squeeze in when you don't think anyone else can fit, and they would just somehow get into the car, and I'm like, this is nuts. I will never do this. I only did it like twice, and I just could not handle it. So I was like, I'll wait an extra hour before I have to go somewhere or
Oh my gosh.
leave a lot early. Yeah, because it's really stressful.
It's
Oh,
rough. Yeah.
and claustrophobia. Like for me, I can't even really get in an elevator with a bunch of people. I can't
Yeah.
imagine. like
Yeah.
that.
Hundreds
I
of
was in New
people.
York for a little bit and
It's worse than
did the
that,
same
man.
thing.
It's worse than I've ever experienced in New York, even. And
I would agree
yeah,
totally.
yeah, it's pretty crazy. But you want to just kind of give a quick overview of kind of, where you got started and kind of how you got to where you are working with Cirque and all those different things?
Absolutely. Well, thank you again for having me. Thanks for doing part two. And I really appreciate the time to chat. I got started when I was stage managing. I was like 14 years old, and I had done some summer theater
I
acting
love
camps
that, by the way. 14 and just like stage managing. I can just imagine you with a headset at like 14, just be like, places, everybody,
truly.
places. Right.
In all honesty, absolutely. I was 14. I had done some like acting for this summer theater Shakespeare company in Maryland, which is where I'm from. And one of the seasons my schedule was school. I wasn't allowed to like be in the cast, but I could be there for tech week and production. So I was a stage manager. And like the first show I called, I was 14 years old. I was also pulling the fly rail and had like
Yes.
cues taped behind the fly rail so I could call cues and fly
That's
stuff in and
awesome.
out at the
Yeah.
same time. It was full on. That's like breaks all union codes
And,
and whatnot. But
and was that your first, your first time that you knew about like, or had you thought about it before being 14 that you were going to be, you know what I mean? Like that whole scene.
I knew what stage management was. My uncle was a stage manager in New York for a long time and worked his way up, and now he's the, if I can get this right, the managing director at the Alliance Theater
Oh,
in
in Atlanta.
Atlanta?
Atlanta.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yes.
gosh.
I
Awesome.
don't know. He's a boss man. And
Wow.
and if I say that wrong, Schleifer, I'm so sorry. But he's super cool. So when I was younger, he was still stage managing, and so I knew what it was. I had seen he was working at Center Stage in Baltimore. I had seen some of his shows, been backstage, met the crew, that kind of stuff, and I was really interested. But then it kind of clicked when I was like running the stuff backstage, 5 minute calls, calling all the cues, flying a rail. I was like, oh, this is magical. And I did that through high school. Got my portfolio together. I did Shakespeare in high school. It was like all Shakespeare. I'm a bit of a Shakespeare freak. I love it. Big fan. And then I went to North Carolina School of the Arts to get a BFA in stage management. That's where I started going to USITT, and then made connections with Cirque du Soleil through friends and whatnot. And did a summer internship in Las Vegas at Beatles Love with the company manager at the time, Kim Scott,
Oh my
and
gosh.
she got my ball rolling. And I've kind of worked. I haven't worked with Cirque ever since. I've done stuff on and off and kind of bounced around, but it's been consistently majority Cirque du Soleil work since then.
Yeah. With all your Cirque jobs, so you did the internship there, and then did you just like did you have to apply to some of the jobs that were there, or did you use the relationships that you built in that to like sort of take you into your first like official role?
I totally applied. I did an internship this summer after my junior year of college with Kim. And then everyone like your senior year is like everyone had jobs before me. And I was like, I'm never going to work. I was like, no
I
one's
was the
ever going
same
to
way.
hire me. It's awful. It's so stressful to be
It
like,
is.
yes, now I have this degree and also I don't have a job. This is great.
Yeah.
But you really are passionate and you want to do the things, but I don't know, it's hard. So I sympathize for those people coming up very soon.
Yeah.
But they had called me at Beatles Love. I was really good friends with one of the stage managers there, and he was like, "Hey, they're kids in the show," and he was their stage manager. And there's like somewhere between 8 to 12 kids, little boys from ages like 8 to 12 that play the younger version of the Beatles in the show. He was their stage manager, and he was like, "Hey, I'm actually integrating 4 new boys this summer. Do you want to come back and help with integration?" And I was like, "Yes, sign me up now." Um, so that got me in, and then I totally applied. My next job after that was with Blue Man Group. and I had gotten an in that it would be a good fit for me from somebody in the company who was working in Montreal. And they were like, you should push and apply. And then it kind of went from there. I had applied for things after that, but my relationships from the internship absolutely helped with those like interview negotiations to say, actually, no, I do know what this lineup means. I know Aurora, I know scheduler, I know all these things
Right. All the
from
internal things
before.
that like are really helpful. Yeah.
Exactly. And the operations in Vegas, it's so different to tour or even where I'm at now with the partner show. But the operations in Vegas, I really got to understand shadowing the company manager for like 4 months, however long it was.
Right. Yeah.
And that totally helped. Yeah.
Yeah. The relationships that you built, would you say that those relationships were stage management relationships, or were there specific like key relationships that you think helped you that, I don't know, maybe it was an artist, maybe it was the artistic director, company manager, like who are the people that you feel like influenced your ability to move into new roles?
Kim Kim was huge for me. Kim and we stay in touch vaguely, but we don't call each other every week or anything now. It's like a once of the year check-in, I think.
Yeah.
But she was huge for me, and I really respected her and the way that she did her job. She's a very upfront person, and I think either you love that or you hate that, but she is direct and she is honest with herself, and I really admired that because I felt like I had seen so many people in other, just from prior experience, like hide a part of themselves and not be genuine in their work, and I
Yeah.
saw that she was truly genuine, and that like sparked something in me.
Yeah.
And then even just like the lead Carpet Love, him and I became really good friends, and then we ended up living together for 4 years just as roommates, and he and we lived with a couple other people too, but just that friend group, having that circle in Vegas too, was like a really nice, oh no, this is home, and
Right.
I
Yeah.
can do the things here, I can make it work, it can, yeah, we spent the whole pandemic together, and the only reason I met him is because I was an intern on the show, so it was cool.
Something you said that I think is really potent is that, and I've also observed this in myself, which is where like sometimes it's easy as a stage manager, in my experience, to sort of have these two different versions of yourself, where you're like a human that does things that are not stage management related, and then there's the stage management person who you have this
Yeah.
persona where you sort of, I don't know, you have this mask, I guess, this way that you have to act around people. Um, and something that I had to deconstruct for myself was like how to like unify those two things together to where I'm not like performing in a role, like I'm just a stage manager that's just like a part of my persona. It's not necessarily a different person altogether. And once I did that, I feel like that changed my approach to stage management and really opened up a lot of doors in terms of connection and relationship building and trust and empathy and all that sort of stuff that I feel like I had a hard time with, I think, before I did that. So I think that's a really important thing that you mentioned, you know?
It totally resonates. I think that's like that's one of like the big stage manager conversations. I think like if you and I just got coffee, I think we could talk about just that for
Yeah,
8 hours,
absolutely. For sure.
like that needing to be a constant presence for everyone all the time doesn't necessarily mean that you have to hide yourself. And in fact, I found the more that I've played with it and gotten comfortable with showing myself more in certain settings, people want that. People want the genuine version of you, and
Right.
I think that is even a stronger way to build trust
Yeah.
than being like a strong force all the time. Like showing
Right.
that you are a human is totally valid,
Right.
even though we're like on all the time and aware of everybody's feelings and aware of how everyone thinks and how to communicate with them. Like we're magical, but also we can show our weaknesses.
Right.
And
Yeah.
yeah,
Well,
yeah,
there's strength in that. You know, it's like vulnerability, and people are um, are more likely to respond in a way that is similar to like how you're responding. If you open up, it's almost like an invitation to build that trust. You're at least extending that, and
Yeah.
things like asking for help that stage managers often are told not to, to like have this like strength about you, like you like perfect. I don't mean people don't say that, but I mean there's sort of this like expectation that
100%.
have to know everything, you have to have all the answers, lacking, or you're not doing your job. And there's this expectation of us. And so even something as simple as like, hey, I need some help figuring this out, or I've never done this before. Especially in crisis, reaching out for help. I think that that's the invitation to other people, to your peers, to the people you're managing, to connect with you in like a more human, deeper way. So I think the more that we do that as stage managers and as leaders, I think that is what really gets people to want to follow us and to help us and to be on the same team with us. And I find that especially when you're working with people that you disagree with or that you have different ways of working, a lot of times when you are open and you do invite some sort of vulnerability aspect into the way that you're leading, that's been a really great tool for me to use to get someone else to like kind of get on board, even if it's not 100%. It's sort of just, it opens that conversation up a little bit more.
Absolutely. No, I totally agree. And I found even I'm a new GSM. And I have a full team now. I'm learning with this team how to be vulnerable with them and and show them my weaknesses. Like whether that be like, yeah, I'm terrible at proofing a document, or I'm dyslexic, I can't do this, or there's too many things on my plate. Please take three of these things.
Yeah.
Um, they like these two people are so eager to support and help, and that just like engages them even more. Yeah,
Right.
it's interesting because I've had leaders or bosses, I should say, that or that are like super strong. They're always on it. They're like, I don't know how they do it, but that's not genuine to me. And I think there is strength in using your genuineness to be a leader. Absolutely.
Yeah, something that I'm struggling with in my current role is like is with in relation to what we're talking about, and it's sort of like dawning on me, um, is what how I like to like be led, because
Mm,
I'm not the top leader in my department, um, and I have several peers who are on the same level, and then there's a couple layers above us, and yeah, I'm just sort of dawning on me just in this moment, like the certain types of things that I like when I'm being led, and I feel like there's a lot of something that I really feel a lot of is this. A lot of isolationists, like not just within our department, but a lot of people say, "Oh, we'll stay in your lane," and this is my thing, or you don't need to know that, or let me take care of that, or something like that. And I just feel like that really shuts down a lot of things, and it hampers collaboration and creativity in a way that just is not good for the jobs that we do in entertainment. Our jobs are so collaborative, and I just wish that my leadership would be a little bit more vulnerable and like would ask for help and would open the conversations up, or that would be a little bit more collaborative in things. And I don't know what the key is to that, but it's something that it's just like, yeah. Now that I have this insight, I'm like, okay, yeah, now I can think, and maybe there's some ways I can try to open that up. But yeah, interesting insight there for me.
totally. I'm actually dealing with a project at work right now where I'm like rewriting our role requirements essentially for our stage management team. Um, I was passed down like the past however many from the last 10 years, and then I'm making them my own. But what I noticed is that from before, it's very like, okay, the ASM always Prints the schedule. The ASM always makes a lineup. The ASM always does like these 20 things, and these 20 things make up the stage management role, or
Yeah.
the ASM role. And then these other 20 things would make up the stage management role. And then these other 20 things make up the GSM role. And so everyone's in their own like silos, and there's
Yeah.
no like crossover. And I just remember looking at them for the first time, and I was like, this is not what our jobs are at all. Like, our jobs are collaboration, our jobs are working together. And if somebody's sick, how does this help anybody, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
So we're like rewriting it. There's specifics in there now, but it's very like, it's open-ended. And I think that's when, if, and hopefully I'm being one, but a good GSM would then come in and say, great, you guys know how to work together. Let's divide up the tasks and collaborate and make sure that we're hitting all of our marks where we need to be. And I think that, and the stage manager that I have right now, one of them is very structured to the rules and what her tasks are every single day. And I'm hoping that this will open up her view a little bit, because I feel like she had some blinders on for a long time. And I'm like, no. Like, your job is not just
Right.
these 5 things. Your
Yeah.
job is so much more than that.
Yeah.
And it's really exciting to hopefully be on that path.
I wanted to ask a question just after hearing you talk about that. If you could use 3 words to describe stage management and like what your role is, and they can't be they can't be phrases or sentences, just like 3 actual words. What 3 words would you use to describe your role as a stage manager?
Oh my, only 3 words,
Only 3 words. I know.
I
And
think
I know I'm putting you on the spot, which I think is helpful, but what resonates with you the most in terms of like when you think of the work you do, like what are those things that just come to the front of your mind?
I think understanding is number one. I would think prioritization, efficiency, although there's so much more. But I think understanding, prioritization, and efficiency are the ones that are coming to me right now. And I think like if you break them down, like understanding of intention behind artistic director needs, understanding of where people are coming from, of the artists in the room, of the technicians in the room. That's like, to me, that's the biggest one. Just understanding everybody that you're
one.
working
That's a
with.
great one. I love that. I don't think I've heard that one before, really, when I've asked that same question.
The
About,
understanding, because
yeah,
we're
it's
like,
great.
oh, go ahead, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, and part of that understanding then is that the other word, if I can, the other 3 that come to mind for me then would be adaptability.
Mm-hmm.
Once you get that understanding, is that ability to adapt to whatever the artistic direction, whatever the changes are, whatever those things that you need to do. Um,
Yeah.
Suddenly come into play, really.
100%.
Yeah, yeah. So the ability to be adaptable is a big one that comes to front.
The 3 words that I use to describe mine is service, orchestration, and curiosity, which curiosity is more like understanding, I think.
You have better words. Those are so good.
They're
Those
all
are
good.
great.
Everything that all like you said, you can't just pick 3 words,
Mm-mm.
Um,
Now,
but
what's the favorite phrase if you have a phrase? Does anybody have this one? The one I can launch with is out of the textbook that I was using for teaching stage management by Thomas Kelly, Broadway stage manager, Backstage Guide to Stage Management,
Great
version
book.
19 or something, but in his book, he says it's like having an iron hand in a velvet glove. I've always
Mm.
liked that. Yeah, I've always liked
yeah,
that.
I don't know if I have a good quote right now. I have to think about that one.
Yeah, yeah, those are
I
a little
like that,
harder to come
having an
up with.
iron hand and a velvet glove.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
there's a famous quote by a director called Jonathan Miller who has this quote where the art is not what's special, it's the people who make the art that makes art special. And
Mm.
I really like that, and it's something that I really it, I think of it all the time because it really brings me back to the reason why I'm a stage manager and the reason why I love doing this job is because it's really about the people. And you meet so many different people, and everyone has such amazing skills, and even the skills that are not a part of their job. When you get to know somebody, you learn something about them that you're like, oh, like that's really cool. And you sort of see how that informs sometimes the work that they do. And especially in terms of team building and team dynamics and like, getting your team to sort of mold and adapt and understand and, do all these different things. The more that you can connect with them and see them as a person, I feel like that really helps to strengthen them as a stage manager, as a team member, as a human, and it really helps to open up a lot of different conversations and a lot of different ways to connect with someone that's not all about, the work that we're doing or, hey, you did a good job doing this thing, or I'm gonna be sick today. I need you to cover this or whatever it is. When it's less about work, I feel like that really helps.
I agree. I agree completely. This is a stupid one, but we would say in college all the time, and it's kind of stuck with me, but it's that we have fake houses and fake people. And we're just playing and fake houses and fake people sticks with me because it just like reminds you that we play pretend every single day. And that's like the product that we're delivering, but I like to see that as like we are absolutely real people, and where are those real connections coming from to make that product every day. So not as that deep as your quote, but in the same vein of like the deeper connection and really recognizing the people behind that, not forgetting to acknowledge that and to celebrate that.
And that's what Chat GPT will never be able to. Everybody's not to
Oh my
change the subject so quickly,
gosh.
but everybody's about Chat GPT taking away our creativity.
There's this
Humans.
new like I was complaining about this yesterday at work because there's this new like Microsoft whatever AI support system for Outlook or
Is it
whatever. And
Copilot?
it's like
Copilot.
yeah,
Yeah,
Copilot. And I haven't
yeah.
used it. I was just judging it straight off the bat, but I was like,
Yeah.
oh yes, Copilot, please call my show for me. Please run my rehearsal. Please. I was like, come on, like it's not gonna.
Yeah, I actually sat down and I was asking ChatGPT some questions like this because I was doing some research for a new article that I wanted to write, and I was like, oh, this would be because everyone's talking about AI right now, and I was like, this would be a cool topic to explore. Um, and I started asking it questions, like I said, I'm a professional stage manager, and this is kind of what my job is, and although it already knows from the internet kind of what a stage manager is, but and I was asking questions like, do you think that you could do my job and whatever? And uh, the responses were basically like, no, like I can help you with sending emails or rewriting things or blah, blah, blah. But, having someone in the room and someone who is overseeing the safety component, all the stuff that, we do as stage managers,
Oh man.
obviously ChatGPT cannot do those things. Like,
No,
yeah, they can
it
write a
can't.
script, they can write a cue book, they can help with, things that are writing oriented or scheduling, but they can't do the relationship part, which, coming back to that same idea is like building relationships is a human thing. And AI will never, I think AI will help you, might be able to help you in like strategies and tools and techniques and approaches. But actually doing the thing is
Yeah, there's no soul behind it. Like you could have
exactly,
QLab
that's a
call a
human thing.
Mm-mm.
show, I'm sure. I'm sure you could have a QLab program a show and when it could run by itself.
Yeah.
Oh
I'm
yeah, it
absolutely
runs off a
convinced
time
about that.
code. It just
Yeah,
does the thing.
yeah.
Yep.
But there's no breath. What I mean by the cue calling, when a stage manager puts their breath into and gives the show life by stand by lights 25, go right to put the breath into
Yeah.
it, to put their
Mm.
soul
Or
into it.
yeah, or when an actor is late or a piece of scenery is delayed and you have to wait that extra second or two
Yeah.
because it just has to line up, and knowing when those adjustments have to be made. There's have are you familiar with Chronos versus Kairos timing by any chance?
No,
Have you heard of that, Jay?
no.
Have I heard of it? No, oh,
No.
gosh, no, Brian.
So there's two different types of timing in music, and it's one is called Chronos, which is it's like on the beat, and it's like a metronome. And then there's another type of timing which is called Kairos, which is not necessarily like quantized into quarter note beats like a metronome would be, or even subdivided, by quarters, 8/16, 30 seconds, or whatever. Um, and I feel like, as a stage manager, our timing is a lot more Kairos oriented, unless you're doing like something like a musical would be an example of Chronos most likely, or
Interesting.
but like working on a ballet is might be a little bit more Kairos because you're going with the movement of things, and when do you want things to happen with the lights, and how long is the fade time, and all that
That's
sort of stuff, which
fascinating.
is a little bit more go with the flow.
It's almost like then also like how do you apply that to like art, like painting, like abstract,
Mm.
being Krynos and perfect symmetry being Chronos kind of stuff. I worked for a company called the Chronos String Quartet at a festival in SUNY Purchase in New York while I was in college. Just brought back to my memory
And what
banks.
was their music like?
Oh, it was a quartet. It was a classical music quartet.
That's
But
cool.
I don't remember the repertoire, but by any means, didn't care back then.
In the in Aurora, whenever you're calling a show, that's why it's called Chronos. Whenever you're hitting the time, is
I
because
had no idea
it's actually spelled technically it's spelled with a K, but I think in Aurora it's spelled with CH.
because it's Greek, surely.
Yeah, yeah. So but yeah, that's what it's referring to as time. And Chronos
Uh,
is the I think the Greek word for time.
That's so
Interesting.
cool. Thank you for
Yeah.
sharing.
Yeah. Look at we learned something new on this Sunday. Liza, you said you're a Shakespeare fanatic. I have a very early Shakespeare experience. My second show ever that I called as an equity stage manager called The Crucible. I don't know if
Yeah.
you're
Whoa.
familiar with that one. Not The
Mm-hmm.
Crucible. Sorry, was it The Crucible? Oh my
The
That's
God,
not
I just
Crucible isn't
Shakespeare.
embarrassed myself.
Shakespeare,
No, it's
but it's
not. That's not
good.
Shakespeare. Cymbeline. So sorry. Began with a C.
Oh yeah.
Cymbeline. Yeah,
Weird
yeah.
show. Weird
Weird
show.
show. Weird show. Weird show. Very rarely produced.
Yeah, I don't
There's
even know
that
if I've heard of
scene.
that one.
Man, it was yeah. I was at the San Diego Rep. If that means
Oh, okay.
anything. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Directed by Doug Jacobs at the time, the founder of the San Diego Rep with Sam Woodhouse, and it was we did it in a smaller theater, and the stage management booth was up in the air over the stage, not over on the stage, but at the back of the house, but very high up in with the grid
Okay.
basically. And there was a scene when when Imogen is falling asleep in her bedchamber, and the
Yeah,
valet,
Yakimo comes in. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, and then and then she wakes up and he jumps into the footlocker, I guess is what we use, so that he could hide while she gave her monologue.
Yep.
Um, yeah, so that all happened, and then
Yeah.
in that we went to this dark blue light, right? And as we come out of that scene, well, then during the scene, I start to see hydraulic oil like dripping on the set
Oh no.
from up in the grid. Like, and I'm going, what is going on right now? Like, I thought the air conditioner or something had started dripping oil. And what happened was, and this was the freakiest thing of all, when we changed the lights, when we took the light cue, it went to a more white light. The dark drips were actually blood that had that
Wow.
had come out of the actor who went into the footlocker, whose dagger went into his leg when he bent
Uh,
Oh my
when he
God.
crouched down, and red in dark blue light is black, right? Really. And
Whoa.
that's what threw me off. I'm like, what is that? What is that? And when the lights changed and I saw that it was red, I'm like, oh fuck.
uh,
And that's the scene going right into intermission.
Oh
And
my God.
yeah, and then the next scene was the battle with 25 different and Bruce McKenzie, the
Right.
actor, was the lead of the battle. And this was the first time I went to myself, oh my God, he's going to like all of that just went down at once. And as a first time experience in this, I need to evacuate the audience because there's blood all over the set. Like, I mean, all over the set. I need to restage a battle because he's now going to the emergency room, and I need to put the understudies in to a fight with swords and sticks and knives, and
Yeah, it's a
literally
huge
25,
battle scene. A huge
huge,
scene. Yeah.
huge. And if I recall, he was also the fight
oh my
director. I
God.
don't
Had you
remember,
had
but
understudy rehearsals yet?
yeah, because we had opened. We were in our second weekend of the run. But
Okay.
nobody ever thinks they're going to actually put in an understudy that's going to affect all
No.
25 people in the battle,
Yeah.
right? You think, oh well, if I have to put somebody in, they can kind of fake it in the back. But this actor was the lead, and the
Yeah.
hero and all that stuff. And this was also at a time before HIV, and in fact, Magic Johnson from the Lakers that previous weekend had just announced that he was HIV positive. So we knew
Oh my
nothing about how to
God.
deal with bloodborne pathogens. So
Right.
Oh
Yeah.
my
crew is
God.
HCPs and all
oh no,
that.
the crew is out there with towels and mops and no gloves.
Oh God.
Yeah. And I
Dang.
actually had to go down and make an announcement about, ladies and gentlemen, obviously, there's an issue. You know, I don't even remember what I said, but kind of people, some people probably thought it was part of the scene, you know,
Yeah. It's all
that
part of the show, folks.
yeah, it's
Totally.
like, oh man, it's like that Metallica stage collapse video when the guy sitting
Yeah.
with
Ugh.
the cell phone after all the shit fell out of the air and a guy got caught on fire running across the stage and the lights go out because the power finally goes out and he's all, yeah, yeah, fuck yeah, rock on. You know, it's like
Oh my
he
God.
totally thought
I
it was part of the
know.
show, right? So
Right.
anyway, I thought I'd throw that little mayhem of Shakespeare. Uh, you know,
Yeah,
and
I
I'm
can't
sure
imagine
it's,
how many things like that have happened with Shakespeare plays,
oh
Oh
especially
my
man,
God.
because you know, like sometimes it does seem like, oh, is this part of the show or is
right,
this
right,
not
right.
right?
It all goes
Yep.
back to who said the Scottish play, right? Who said the word? You know, that
Yeah.
whole superstition
Who?
about whose fault is this?
Yep. Totally. I did Cymbeline when I was like 17, and this Shakespeare company it was a youth Shakespeare company at the time. So we
What?
were all like in
Oh
high
my,
school
oh my
doing
gosh.
Cymbeline, and like if you
No
know the
wonder.
show, highly questionable.
Why aren't you doing
It
Midsummer
was
Night's
weird.
Dream like every other high
Yeah, I
school?
know.
Right? No, we
It's a little
decided to
more.
do Cymbeline, like
Oh
truly.
gosh.
It
Oh
was
man.
weird. There's some
Was
content in there for sure.
was that a feeder school to the North Carolina School of the Arts or anything? I mean, no, I joke
No,
because
no, it was a Shakespeare company called the Annapolis Shakespeare Company, and it was
oh
separate from high school. It was its own thing, and there was a
yeah.
group of us that kind of found it and stuck with it. And
Oh
we did weird stuff like Cymbeline. I can't remember anything else right now, but I mean, we
yeah.
started with like Midsummer, Twelfth Night, those kind
Yeah.
of things. But then we
And
did
all of a
like
sudden you're all bored with it.
truly, we're like, well, this is
Yeah.
too fun and lighthearted, so let's do
Yeah.
Cymbeline or one of the Henrys, or yeah, it was weird. It was weird,
There you go. It's
but
awesome sometimes.
amazing.
Yeah, sometimes that works out. There was a theater company here, and the founder Scott. I don't know what happened. It was called Sledgehammer Theater, and it was one of those theaters that avant garde decided, you know, in San Diego they were just going to do everything different, and it drew a lot of attention. And they took over the St. Celia's Playhouse and not Playhouse Church, and they turned it into their theater.
Oh, that's
And
cool.
the San Diego rep once again hired Scott Felcher was his name and hired him to direct a Christmas Carol, and it was called the Sledgehammer Christmas Carol. And man, talk about different and a different take on things. It was something else. It was really something else. But we'll go down. The San Diego rep was a very interesting company while it was around. So anyway,
Liza, you're a rock star and you can have any three items in your dressing room. What three things are they?
Oh, I think. Oh gosh. Oh gosh. I don't know. See, CJ, you're the
I
one
love
with
how this
the.
pressure happens when we ask this question because
Yeah,
people
yeah, me
don't
too.
ever think about what they like really.
That's right. Yeah.
No, and
If you could have
especially
anything.
stage managers. I think I would like to have like some type of yoga setup slash
Ooh.
meditation-y area, whether that's
Oh,
like availability for a sound bath or
oh, I
like,
just
I
had
don't
my
know,
first one of those. Oh,
right?
Yeah, they're so
Something like
good.
that in the side of a room, like where you can like center and zone in. I think I would like to, I mean, my guitar travels with me wherever I go,
oh, I
but
love
so
that.
that's me. But I think having a guitar there, like an acoustic guitar, I don't
Yes,
necessarily have a preference on brand, but an acoustic
Taylor.
guitar of sorts. Um, and then which would just come with me all the time. And then I think maybe some, if we're talking in the food genre, drink genre, I think I'm going to steal your idea of the espresso bar, but I need it to be like iced lattes. I'm a huge iced latte kind of
Nice,
person. Yeah.
nice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
Thank you so much for
Well,
doing this
yeah. Thanks,
again.
Liza.
Yeah.
Appreciate you.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.